Another big topic locally for us, that is the 2040 plan. For folks who have been in the Charlotte area for some time, you know this is a long discussed topic, and it's essentially how the city wants to potentially develop the city over the next 15 years or so. And we have our Walker Lawson, who is following up with the latest with the discussions on this plan. I kind of gave a really quick synopsis, but essentially, I mean, this is all about development and what goes where in the city and what sort of amenities, I guess you will, end up in certain neighborhoods and such, right?
Yeah, so they split it up into different groups, and this is really because the city has grown so much tremendously. They're expecting in the next 15 years to have another 400,000 residents, 200,000 jobs come to the area. So this is really just to get a hold on development for the community.
So you specifically, well, you heard from the city, but also you heard about, you know, what the community members themselves are saying about what they want to see, right? Because there's been public input opportunities.
Yeah, so for a lot of people that don't know, for us reporters, when we interview people that are concerned about development or stuff, we usually find them on the street as we walk up to people. But today was a different scenario where we actually got to hear from people that were logging on to this web seminar to give their feedback. Something that we heard was in inner western Charlotte, they were really trying to not see as much of commercial development, not as much as manufacturing plants as well, just kind of seeing more growth in the area, but less of that style development. From what I heard from city leaders, South Inner is the area that's being focused on the most. That'd be South End. A lot of feedback has come back in that area, of course. Again, this isn't going to, the renderings that you'll see are not exactly what the city is going to look like. They're just giving a vision for how tall, if a developer comes in and says, hey, I want to build an apartment complex here in South End, how tall can it be? What would it look like? Where on the property would it sit? And that's really just to give a vision for people to not be surprised or caught off guard. Again, it's not to get confused with the UDOs, which will allow certain kind of developments, but this is really just kind of a vision of what they hope the city will look like as it gets developed.
Yeah. So, I mean, are there specific, features that get discussed? For example, I mean, I know you kind of alluded to the fact that in certain neighborhoods there are, I guess, wishes for generally how they want it to be developed, but are you hearing things like, hey, we don't have enough sidewalks here, hey, we don't have enough grocery stores in this neighborhood, because we do talk about food deserts from time to time, in some of our communities, areas where you mentioned South End, it seems like there's a new apartment complex popping up every day. Yeah, it feels every day. Like, are we good with the apartment complexes in South End? Yeah, what are you hearing?
Well, that's one of the things is the plan really focuses on mobility as well. And so you'll see a lot of intersections have been studied in this plan. It's not only development, but it's roadways and it's everything. There are intersections that they've looked at that said these need to be addressed. These are areas with high volumes of crashes, or these are areas where people feel like they could get around better. Looking at more centers. So every community has a different niche outlook for the area. You see all these different areas popping up. You have Loso, South End, Noda, all these little communities that have different vibes and looks to them. So people have given different feedback on what they want. They've talked to close to 400,000 residents in this process. So they said they've talked to a lot of people, got a lot of feedback, and this still has a little bit of time to go. You still have until Friday to get on their website and to voice your opinion, and then it still has a couple more steps before it's voted on by Charlotte City Council, which they'll present all the feedback and their plans that they have for that.
Yeah, so that's good to know. Friday deadline. I know that you're putting together a piece for our evening newscast. When can we see your piece? What sort of storylines will you be touching on in the pieces? And I'm assuming you're doing a web story as well.
Yeah, the web story is almost done. So for people, it'll hopefully be up in the next hour or so. But I'll be joining you in studio at 5:30.
Okay.
Not in the field for once, in person.
Well, it's a hot day, so.
Yeah, it's a warm day. So I'll be in studio at 5:30. That's the time the story airs, and you'll hear from residents, but really focused hearing from city officials, because I think there's been a lot of confusion from people about what this really means. And so city officials have tried to break that down for people, because there's a lot of confusion with UDOs and what they think this plan actually means. And then there's been conversations about state bills that have been tried to be introduced to try to stop development from communities. So a lot of people were raising questions in these meetings, which were really interesting. But you'll hear from the city to kind of explain this is not saying a development can or can't go here. This is just a roadmap. And so you'll hear the concerns from citizens as well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is a really weighty topic. I think and you've probably experienced this too, when you pull up the documents for 2040,
Gosh.
it's like, it's a novel.
It's almost, I want to say there's like 30 pages per 14
Right.
communities.
It's a novel.
And so right when I started my interview with the city, it took them about 8 minutes to dig for the exact document I was
Yeah.
talking about because they have so much to dig through. So
Yeah.
it's a big document and there's a lot to it. And so that's why they're being very specific and they want to hear from people, and they broke these communities up because Charlotte is so large and wide. And you can kind of pinpoint your specific place in these communities, and it makes
Yeah.
it easier for you to dive in and find what you're looking for because there's so much to find.
I think that's a good call out because I feel like whenever we talk about development stories, because they can be kind of dense, maybe sometimes people kind of glaze over a little bit.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know if I can grasp all this, but
Yeah.
instead of reading the whole War and Peace, just pick a chapter that pertains to your neighborhood,
Yes.
see what it looks like. Think about how you feel about it, and then reach out to city officials with your input, because that stuff
Yeah.
matters.
It does,
you know?
yeah. And they hear from people, and they are, trying to take in everything they can. This is a big decision to make for 15 to 20 years out. So
Yeah.
they want to hear from you guys. You have till Friday. This is probably the third time I've covered it. I know Julie Kay's also covered it because there have just been many layers to it to try to process and digest.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you boiling some of that down for us. We'll
The
see
best
you.
I can.
Yeah, I know. It's tough once again. Sometimes, like I'm a visual person. Sometimes I just
Yeah.
want to like see
Exactly.
the
Thankfully,
stuff.
they have great renderings, so that's a good thing.
And I mean, obviously something that you can link folks to in the web story.
Yes.
All right, Walker Lawson, thanks so much. We'll see you at 5:30.
I'll see you in studio at
Yeah.
5:30.
And of course, folks, keep it here on WCNC Plus as we transition away from Live Impact News for our usual evening newscasts. You'll just roll right into the evening news and see Walker's story.